You ever get that gut drop feeling when blue lights paint your front yard at 6 a.m.? Like your soul just slipped out through your socks? Because that's exactly how it started for us. I was standing in my kitchen, still half asleep, coffee mug warm in my hand. My wife, Maya, was upstairs, probably just pulling on sweatpants. Then came the knock. Heavy, urgent, the kind of knock that says, "We ain't here to chat." I opened the door. 4 deputies. One had his hand resting on his holster, another with that clipboard swagger, and the one in front, young, clean-shaved, looking like he practiced his tough guy stare in the mirror. Behind them, Karen. Yep. Floral blouse, arms crossed, chin up, with that smug little smile like she just won a game nobody else was playing. "We have reports of an unregistered resident trespassing on protected Homeowner Association land," the clipboard deputy said. I blinked. "You mean my wife?" "She doesn't appear on the HOA occupancy registry for this lot. And the HOA chair? That'd be her?" I thumbed toward Karen. He nodded. "She filed a formal complaint this morning." Maya came down the stairs right then, barefoot, hair a mess, wearing one of my old army shirts. She stepped out onto the porch beside me, rubbing sleep from her eyes. That shirt still had my old unit patch on the shoulder. Funny thing is, that little detail changed everything later. But not yet. Karen stepped forward, pointing. "There she is. That's her. She moved out of Lot 12 2 weeks ago. She doesn't have residency rights here. She's not on the paperwork." Clipboard guy cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'm gonna need to see your ID." Maya didn't even flinch. She looked him square in the eye, turned around, and disappeared inside. Came back 30 seconds later with her military ID in one hand and a cup of black coffee in the other. Just handed it over like she'd done this before, which, turns out, she had. The deputy took the card, paused. You know that moment when someone reads something and the color drains from their face just a little? Like they just realized they picked the wrong fight? Yeah, that. He handed it back, cleared his throat. Everything seems in order here." Karen's face fell, and not in a subtle way. "Wait, what? She doesn't have legal—" "She's military. This ID supersedes local registration rules. She has the right to reside with her spouse wherever he holds permanent address. That includes within homeowner association zones." I could have kissed the guy. Karen didn't leave. She just stood there on the edge of the driveway, blinking like her brain had skipped a gear. Deputies walked back to their cruiser, murmuring. Maya sipped her coffee. She looked at me, cool as winter. "You didn't mention we had a welcoming committee. You know the neighborhood, always thrilled to have company." Now here's where it gets weird. That should have been the end of it. We laughed it off, finished our coffee, and went on with our day. But no, Karen doesn't lose. Not like that. That morning was just the opening shot. And if you've ever dealt with someone who can't stand being outmaneuvered, you'll know. They don't come at you head on after that. They find cracks, weak spots. They come for your reputation, your peace, your standing in the community. That night, someone left a printed flyer on every mailbox on our street. No name, no signature, just bold letters. "Is this who you want, living next to your kids?" Below it, a grainy, blown-up image of Maya in uniform, half-cropped like a mugshot. Some nonsense about PTSD, instability, danger to others. Next morning, 2 families didn't wave like they used to. One neighbor pulled his kid off the sidewalk as we walked by. And Maya, she didn't say a word, but I could see it. In her shoulders. In the way she held her breath when we stepped outside. Now, let me tell you something straight. If you've never watched your wife get torn apart by whispers she can't fight back against, then count yourself lucky. Because that kind of quiet assault, it doesn't bruise the skin, but it bleeds you out just the same. Stick around. It only gets messier from here. You ever seen someone fight a war without ever raising their voice? That was Maya. But even silence has a breaking point. Next day, she didn't say much, just sat at the edge of the bed, staring out the window with that faraway look she used to get back when she'd just come home from deployment. Like she wasn't here, not fully. I brought her coffee. She took it with both hands, no smile, just a soft thanks. Later that morning, I tried to talk to the HOA office, figured I'd nip it in the bud. I walked into that little stucco building they call a community center and was greeted by the sight of Karen behind the front desk, talking to a younger woman I didn't recognize, probably one of her new recruits. "We don't deal with anonymous materials," Karen said when I brought up the flyer. "If someone's concerned, they should file an official complaint." "So, you're saying you didn't see it?" I asked. She tilted her head. "Didn't say that. I said I don't recognize the source." The younger woman scribbled something on a notepad. Karen glanced at her and smiled. I felt it right then, that cold sense in your gut when you realize you're being cataloged. They weren't listening, they were gathering. Back home, Maya was cleaning. Not out of boredom, she was burning off something. Anger maybe, shame, grief. That woman could polish a countertop until it vanished. "They're making it look like I'm dangerous," she said, voice low. "Like I don't belong here. You earned that house more than any of them did." She didn't answer, just kept scrubbing. 2 days later, she came back from the grocery store pale as paper, said someone had followed her through the parking lot. Not aggressively, just lingering, watching. She caught a glimpse of the same younger woman from the HOA office sitting in a gray sedan. "I don't know what they're doing," she whispered, "but it's not over." And she was right. That weekend, a notice went up on the HOA board, Emergency Community Safety Meeting, Monday night, mandatory attendance encouraged, topic, psychological safety and environmental stability. Now, I've been around long enough to know what that means. It means they're coming for her, but not by name. They'll throw words like concerns, behavior patterns, and general unease into the mix. Keep it vague. Spread the stain. Monday night, we showed up together. Some people smiled, most didn't. Karen stood at the front of the room like a damn news anchor, hair perfect, voice sweet like syrup, dripping with concern. She opened with a slideshow. First slide, community values. Second, maintaining peace. By the fourth slide, she brought up the challenge of reintegration for some veterans. Oh, I felt Maya stiffen beside me. She didn't say a word, not yet. Karen kept going, brought up recent events and how certain individuals with high-stress backgrounds may pose challenges to harmony. She never used Maya's name, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew. Then came the question period. One man raised his hand, asked if there would be background checks for new arrivals. Another wanted to know if there was a way to flag mental health histories. Karen smiled through it all, said she understood the concerns. Maya stood up, quietly, no fanfare. She walked to the front and faced them all. The room went dead silent. She held up her military ID. "This is who I am," she said. "If anyone wants to ask me something, do it to my face, not through flyers, not behind curtains." Someone in the back scoffed. Another muttered something about bringing the war home. I stood up too. "My wife served. She's earned more peace than most of you ever will. And if you think smearing her in meetings is how this neighborhood stays safe, you're the ones making it dangerous." Karen didn't respond, just smiled, that same frozen grin. After the meeting, no one said a word to us. They cleared out like we had a disease. Back home, Maya sat on the porch. Didn't cry, didn't speak, just sat there, motionless. I pulled up a chair next to her. She finally whispered, "This isn't just about me. It's about how they see anyone who doesn't fit their mold." And she was right, again. You ever realize your enemy's not one person? It's the system that lets people like her run things? That's when you know you can't win by playing their game. But I wasn't about to let them write the ending. Not this time. Not this time. Next morning, I woke up early, earlier than usual, sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and a pen, like an old-school detective in a crime movie. Thing is, I wasn't looking to break laws. I just needed to find a way to break their rhythm. See, when you're up against a homeowner association like this, one run by people who smile while they sink you, you have two choices, react or redirect. And I was done reacting. First thing I did was head down to the county records office. Not HOA, not the community center, real county. Paper, signatures, city seals, things Karen couldn't fake or twist. I spent 3 hours combing through property documents, zoning maps, past meeting minutes, anything with her name on it. And that's when I found it. Back in 2019, there was a line added to the HOA charter, something about voluntary reintegration support and psychological screening for high-risk arrivals. Harmless at first glance. But if you dig deeper, it was slipped in through a non-quorum vote, illegal without full board presence. It never should have passed. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I know what a bad signature looks like, and one of the names on that vote belonged to a guy who'd moved away 2 years before it supposedly happened. So I made a copy. Back home, Maya was in the garage, sorting through old storage bins. I showed her the file. She looked at it, then at me, and for the first time in days, I saw the corner of her mouth twitch, almost a smile. "We're not going to fight them," I said. "We're going to let them fight themselves." That afternoon, I called an old buddy from my Army days, Marcus. He does freelance investigations now. Smart, methodical, and best of all, he used to work in HOA compliance before he got fed up and quit. Told me stories that would make your skin crawl. He agreed to take a look, quietly. Said he'd pose as a new buyer interested in the neighborhood. It was a gamble. But one thing about Marcus, if there's rot in the walls, he'll sniff it out. 3 days passed. Maya kept to herself mostly. Took walks with her headphones in. Neighbors avoided eye contact. I heard whispers about someone contacting the sheriff, but nothing came of it. Then came Friday. Marcus called. "You were right. This place is a maze of power games. Karen's been blocking applicants she doesn't like, fast-tracking friends, manipulating HOA votes with bogus proxy forms. I got copies. And get this, one of her inner circle, a woman named Leslie, she's turning, doesn't like where things are headed." Leslie. I remembered her. Thin, glasses, always seemed like she didn't know what room she was in. But she was always there, sitting 2 seats from Karen at meetings, nodding along. That night, I wrote Leslie a letter, handwritten. No threats, no demands, just the truth. Told her what was happening to Maya. Included a copy of the fake vote and a photo of the guy whose name they used, taken months after he'd already moved to Florida. I dropped it in her mailbox at midnight. No return address, no signature. Next day, something changed. Maya and I went for a walk. No one stopped us, sure, but one couple smiled. Another neighbor nodded. Small stuff. But you feel it. And Karen? She wasn't on her porch. That evening, an anonymous message hit the community forum. It was just 3 lines. "Did you know your HOA board forged votes in 2019? Ask for the meeting minutes. See for yourself." No name, no context, but the seed was planted. And I knew things were finally starting to bend. But here's the part that still gets me. That night, Maya sat by the window, quiet. Then she said, "What if they dig up my records, the old stuff?" I looked at her. "You didn't do anything wrong." She nodded. "But sometimes it doesn't matter." And in that moment, I realized we weren't just fighting Karen. We were fighting shame, doubt, the kind they inject into your life so slowly you don't even notice until it's choking you. You ever felt that? Like someone made you question whether you belong in your own home. Because if you have, you'll understand what we did next. You ever play chess with someone who doesn't know they've already lost? That's where Karen was now. Pieces were moving, and she didn't even see the board shifting under her. 3 days after that anonymous post hit the forum, cracks started to show. Subtle at first, neighbors asking questions, people hanging around longer than usual after dog walks, whispering near the mailboxes. HOA folks hate uncertainty. It's like termites in their foundation. Then came the flyer. Not ours, theirs. A new one, slipped into everyone's mailbox. Glossy this time, professionally printed, full color. Is safety first, what you need to know about unauthorized occupants. And right there, smack in the center, was a blurry photo of Maya again, walking back from the store, headphones in, grocery bags in hand. No name, of course, just more garbage. Some residents have raised concerns about individuals whose behavioral history may not align with our values. They doubled down. I took the flyer and pinned it to the fridge, didn't even hide it. Maya stared at it for a long minute. Then she reached up, pulled it down, folded it in half, and tossed it in the trash. "Let's burn their house of cards," she said. That was the moment, the shift. Not fear, not shame, resolve. That evening, we met with Marcus at the diner just outside the community limits. He came with a manila envelope so thick it could have stopped a bullet. Inside, copies of emails, meeting notes, financial records. Turns out Karen had been using HOA funds for personal expenses, travel reimbursements for non-existent conferences, paid consultations with companies owned by her cousin, thousands gone, quietly siphoned over 3 years. She's been bulletproof because no one questioned her, Marcus said. But with this, you don't need a courtroom, you need daylight. And that's what we gave them. Leslie stepped up. She didn't go public, not yet, but she agreed to a meeting with 2 other board members. One of them, a quiet retired teacher named Dawn, was already suspicious. The other, Sheila, just wanted out of the mess. The plan was simple. Let them implode. We drafted an anonymous packet, all the proof, all the lies, all the forged votes, misuse of funds, even screenshots of Karen mocking other residents in internal emails. We slipped the packet into the community center's mail slot late Sunday night. Monday morning, the center stayed closed. By afternoon, the HOA forum was in meltdown. Residents posting photos of documents, people demanding explanations, some even suggesting a full re-election. Karen finally posted a statement. Cold, sterile, dismissive. These are coordinated attacks by individuals with personal grievances. We urge all residents to remain calm and respectful. It was over. She just didn't know it. But then, she lashed out. Tuesday morning, Maya's car windshield was shattered. Not cracked, shattered. Big spiderweb explosion right in the center. No note, no witnesses, no camera. Police came, wrote it up, shrugged. Could have been heat, one of them said. Maya didn't flinch, just taped a piece of cardboard over the hole and drove it like that. And that night, she stood in our living room, holding her old army duffel, looked at me like she was about to say something heavy. Instead, she said, "I'm not running, not again." We didn't sleep much that night. Next morning, Karen made one last move. A letter, formal-looking HOA letterhead and all, demanding that Maya vacate the property pending mental wellness review and security assessment. Signed by Karen herself, stamped, hand-delivered. That was her mistake. Because she made it official. And now we had her signature. You know that feeling when someone crosses a line so bold, so stupid it flips the game? That was the moment. Because after that letter, Maya stopped reacting. She started planning. You ever seen someone reach that quiet, terrifying kind of calm? That was Maya now. No rage, no panic, just a stillness that meant she'd stopped hoping for fairness and started preparing for war. She sat at the kitchen table, Karen's letter spread out in front of her, reading it like a map. Then she folded it neatly, slid it into a clear sleeve, and placed it into a binder. That binder already had a label, evidence. She flipped it shut and looked up at me. We're not taking this to court. No. We're taking it to their pride. She didn't explain then. Just walked out to the garage and started digging through her old army boxes. A few hours later, she came back in wearing a hoodie and carrying a USB stick. You remember Fort Harlan? She asked. I nodded. How could I forget? That place was practically haunted. One long concrete hallway and a bunch of officers who never smiled. They ran integration and threat response training, she said. Every class was recorded. We signed waivers. It was all logged. They evaluated everything. Emotional stability, stress response, behavior under pressure. You think they'll give you that? She smiled. I don't need them to. I already have it. And just like that, she had what Karen never expected. A weapon of truth. Not just some letter from a therapist, not a form signed by a neighbor. Footage. Military-issued footage of Maya staying calm under pressure, de-escalating conflict, handling chaos with precision, documented, time-stamped, certified. The next day we went to the public library, used their printer, their Wi-Fi, printed flyers, burned the files to a few cheap USB sticks, packaged it all up in manila envelopes. Each one had a cover sheet. Concerned about our community? Watch this. No names, no accusations, just the footage, just the truth. We dropped off 10 of them, at doorsteps, mailboxes, even the community center bulletin bin. No signatures, no trace. The reaction, immediate. By evening, the forum lit up. Threads titled, "Have you seen this?" Karen's been lying. Why aren't we talking about Maya's record? Some folks got loud. Others went quiet. But one thing was clear. The fear started to crack. And that's when we got the call. Private number, Marcus? You need to hear this, he said. Turns out Karen wasn't just scared. She was cornered. Her inner circle had splintered. Leslie had spoken with a local paper editor, a guy who once wrote a piece on vet homelessness. He was interested, real interested. Karen knows, Marcus said. She's panicking, and she's about to do something desperate. He wasn't wrong. Next morning, an emergency board session was called. Security and structural integrity, the notice read. But when Maya showed up, invited legally as a resident, she was blocked at the door. Karen herself stood there. I'm sorry, this is a closed session. You posted a public notice. I live here. We're concerned about your presence. That was it. I'd followed behind her, phone in hand, recorded the whole exchange. No yelling, no threats, just calm refusal. And Karen, standing in front of a locked door, denying access to a legal resident based on nothing but fear. We didn't post the video. We sent it to that editor, to 3 other residents we trusted, to the Legal Oversight Committee for Community Housing Ethics. You ever feel a storm shift direction? That's what happened next. Maya got a message that night, short, anonymous. You should know, someone's digging into your service file. Karen's pushing for sealed docs. That's when I felt it, the part of the battle you don't see, the shadow war. They weren't trying to evict her now, they were trying to erase her. And let me ask you something. Have you ever watched someone try to turn your legacy into a threat? Because the moment they try, that's when you realize this was never just about property lines. It was about identity. And they were trying to rewrite hers. So we rewrote the rules instead. Funny thing about being pushed to your limit, sometimes you don't break, you harden, you get quiet, you get still. That's where Maya was now, still. But it wasn't peace, it was pressure, waiting to blow. After that message came in about someone trying to unseal her military file, something in her changed. I saw it in the way she stared at the wall, like it owed her something, like she was daring it to move. I asked if she was okay. She nodded, but her hands were clenched under the table. She didn't sleep that night, neither did I. Next morning, she packed up a duffel, didn't say much, and just said, I need to be somewhere. I didn't stop her. You ever watch someone walk away not because they're giving up, but because they're going in alone? That's what it felt like. She was gone all day. I didn't call, didn't text, just sat with that weight in my chest, wondering what she was chasing. I cleaned the kitchen, checked the mailbox. Nothing. Until around 4 p.m. An envelope. No return address, just my name on the front. Inside, a printout. Maya's official service summary. Declassified, clean. No flags, no blemishes. Just 20 years of decorated, disciplined service. I turned the last page and there was a sticky note. They want silence. Let's make noise. She came back that night, hair pulled back, eyes heavy but sharper than ever. They wanted dirt. I gave them diamonds. Then she showed me what she'd done. She'd visited 3 veteran outreach centers, sat with reporters, talked to lawyers, and she'd posted, finally, from her own account, publicly. Her post was simple: a photo of the windshield, a copy of the HOA letter, her service record, and 2 sentences. I serve to protect freedom, not to be harassed in my own home. This is my neighborhood, too. Within hours, it blew up. Shares, comments, messages from other veterans, neighbors, people who didn't even know us. And that's when the silence hit. Karen went dark. No more posts, no porch sitting, no movement from her house. But silence from someone like that? It doesn't mean surrender. It means planning. And the next move hit harder than we expected. Wednesday afternoon, Maya got a knock at the door. 2 men in plain suits, not cops, not press. They introduced themselves as community compliance officers, assigned by an HOA regional oversight firm. Apparently, Karen had filed a formal behavioral concern. Not criminal, one of them said, just precautionary. They wanted to check on Maya's wellness, review her interactions with neighbors, assess if her presence was creating environmental tension. Maya stood there, arms folded. So let me get this straight, she said. Karen accused me of being a threat, and you showed up to confirm it. The taller guy blinked. "Ma'am, we're not making accusations, just documenting." "Well," she said, stepping aside, "you're welcome to document my living room. You want tea while you violate my rights." I'll say this, those two didn't stay long, left looking more rattled than when they came in. But after they left, Maya sat down on the floor, back against the wall, and for the first time since this started, she cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, like a leak in a dam. I sat beside her. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. "They don't care," she whispered. "They don't want me gone because I'm dangerous. They want me gone because I don't make sense to them." That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't about breaking rules. It was about not fitting the image. Maya was too strong, too silent, too different. And that made her dangerous. You ever been punished for not being what they expected? Because after that night, I realized they weren't going to stop. So neither were we. You ever feel like you're one match away from setting the whole thing ablaze? That's where we were. But instead of grabbing the match, Maya did something different. She made a call to someone from her old unit, a woman named Dana. They hadn't talked in years, not since Germany, but the moment Maya said her name, Dana responded like no time had passed. Turns out, Dana now worked with a national veterans' rights nonprofit, real advocacy, real teeth. And just like that, Maya had a new kind of ally. 2 days later, a letter went out, not from us, but from that nonprofit, addressed to the Homeowner Association Board, with copies to the county supervisor and 3 local newsrooms. It was firm, precise, no threats, just facts. Targeted harassment of a veteran based on perceived psychological risk without evidence is discriminatory. Continued behavior may warrant civil rights action. Let's just say that got attention. We didn't hear back from the board, but we didn't need to. People started to shift. Sheila, one of the quieter board members, publicly stepped down, said she had concerns about how things were being handled. That same day, Don posted an open letter apologizing to Maya. Now I won't lie, part of me thought, maybe this is it. Maybe the tide finally turned. But Karen, she wasn't out. No, she showed up on our lawn that Friday morning, alone, no clipboard, no fake smile, just stood there until I opened the door. "We need to talk." I didn't invite her in, just stepped outside. She looked tired, rattled, her voice still sharp. "You've made this personal." "No," I said. "You did, the moment you tried to erase my wife." She glanced toward the street, then back at me. "You think you've won something, but you haven't. These people trust me. They always have. You think one letter's going to change that." I stepped closer. "No," I said, "but maybe 10 more will." That's when she cracked. "You don't understand. If she stays, I lose everything." She didn't mean the board or the title. She meant the control, the image, the neighborhood molded in her likeness. She stormed off. And that night, that's when it happened. Someone hacked the HOA forum. Dozens of internal documents were posted, real ones, screenshots of Karen's private messages, mocking residents, joking about Maya's meltdown, coordinating with her loyalists. No one took credit, we didn't do it, but whoever did, they struck deep. The thread was shared hundreds of times. People who'd stayed quiet started asking questions. Maya got messages, apologies, support, even dinner invitations. The same neighbors who'd crossed the street to avoid her were now waving. Karen disappeared. 2 days, no movement. Then a short notice appeared on the HOA site. Effective immediately, Karen L. is stepping down from her position as board chair. Just like that. Maya read it 3 times, then folded her laptop shut. It's not over. I know. Because here's the truth no one tells you. When you win against someone like that, they don't vanish. They scatter, regroup, try again from another angle. But for the first time in weeks, our home felt still. Not safe, not yet, but still. And that stillness, it wasn't silence. It was breath. You ever been in a fight so long, you forget what quiet feels like? That's what this was. And deep down, we both knew one last move was coming. A week passed. No meetings, no flyers, no sudden knocks on the door. Just wind in the pines and the quiet hum of sprinklers at 6 a.m. The neighborhood looked the same, but it wasn't. Not really. You ever walk through a place you fought for? It feels different, like the dirt under your boots knows what you've been through. Maya started sleeping again, not deep, not dreamless, but better. She took morning walks, planted basil, smiled once or twice. But we both knew it wasn't finished. And then came the envelope. Plain manila, no return address. Inside, a single document. HOA letterhead. Notice of review, behavioral patterns and residency conflict. Signed by a name we didn't recognize. Karen was out, but her machine was still alive. I read it 3 times. Maya didn't even flinch. "They're testing the waters," she said, "seeing if I'll fold." That night, she sat at the kitchen table and wrote something by hand, 3 pages, folded it, sealed it in an envelope, and told me, "I'll need your help tomorrow." We showed up at the next open HOA gathering. They tried to say she wasn't on the schedule. She walked past them like she belonged there, and she did. She stepped up to the podium. No slideshow, no microphone, just a folded paper in her hand and a voice that didn't shake. "I'm not here to defend myself. I'm here to remind you who I am." She read her letter, a story, about serving overseas, about building field clinics in flood zones, about coming home and finding that the hardest battles don't wear uniforms. She didn't name names, didn't accuse, just told the truth. Halfway through, you could hear a pin drop. She ended with this: "You wanted me quiet, and I almost gave you that. But silence is not peace. I belong here, because I live here, because I earned this soil just like you did, and I won't move so someone else can feel comfortable." She folded the paper, stepped back. Don, the retired teacher, stood up and clapped, then Sheila, then others. Not everyone, but enough. That video hit the forum before we got home. 3 hours later, a community vote was called, not just for leadership re-election, but for a charter revision. The part Karen slipped in, gone, invalidated. And the final twist? Turns out that anonymous letter, the one sent to Maya last week, it came from one of Karen's former allies, a man named Bryce. He'd grown tired, felt guilt. He handed over emails, recordings, even a copy of Karen's final plan. A motion to label Maya a disruptive presence unfit for communal harmony. And with that, the machine collapsed. Karen sold her house 2 weeks later, quietly, no goodbye. The new family that moved in, a couple with 3 kids, Maya brought them cookies. That night, we sat on the porch, listening to the cicadas. "You think it's over?" I asked. Maya smiled, just a little. "No, but it's quiet, and for now, that's enough." So here's my ask. If you've ever been pushed to shrink, don't. If someone tries to make you feel like a problem just because you don't fit their box, break the damn box. And if this hits close to home, hit that like button. We'll be here. Still standing. Still home. Still us.